Hi, my name is William, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can conditional format your growth rates so that you can see where you have declines and where you have positives at a glance. So what you have here on screen is ideally what we want to do, create the chart you see on the right, coming from what you see on the left side of the screen. So let's get going. So I'll just delete this chart that you see here. Let me go ahead and copy paste this chart here. So there are two ways that you can do this. You can either use rules for you to apply conditional formatting similar to what you have in Excel, or you can create a measure that gives you the color coding that you want, depending on whether you have a positive or a negative growth. So I'll show you the first one, which is using the rules. So with the chart selected here, you can go to the formatting pane on the right, or you could right click and choose to format. Then you'll get the formatting options you see here on the right. Then you look for the option that says columns. And under columns, that's where you can update the color that is being used for these bars. You can see the color we have put there. You can choose any other color that you prefer. That will set the same color for all the bars. So what we need here is to click the FX, which allows us to conditional format based on a condition. So if I click FX, I'll have the option to choose rules, gradient, or field value. So in this example, let's stick with the rules. And then the field that is the basis will be the measure that we have in our table. It's called year-on-year percent. So it's this one says year-on-year percent. That will be the basis. It's what is on the chart. Now, here you have the capacity to then set the rules of the color coding. So in this case, we shall start with the green, which is the positive. So the number needs to be greater than 0. So I change this one to greater than 0. And here we shall update this one to be a number. As much as it's a percentage value, you can still work with a number. No problem, it should work. And then the number, the highest it can go, we don't know. So we shall say it needs to be less than or equals to not 0. But if I delete that 0, it will give me max. So you don't take the word max, you just simply delete the 0. So if the number is above 0 but less than or equals to the highest it can get to, we need to change the color. So I choose more colors here and slide this one towards green. You can change the colors there. And up here, you can also change this to add a new rule. Now, this one will be for the negative growth. So in this case, it needs to be greater than or equals to the minimum it can get. So not 0 here, we simply delete and update this one to be a number. But it needs to be less than 0. That's fine, a number. And then here you can choose the reddish color as you prefer. So if I press OK, you'll see the bars now are able to change the color depending on whether you have a positive or a negative growth. Now, the main challenge of doing it like this is that you have to keep repeating this process in case you have other charts that should use the same logic and use a green color for positive and negative for red for negative. But you can also create a measure that will be used across all these visuals, and there will be consistency even in terms of the color that you apply instead of just choosing at random. So let's see how you can do that using a DAX measure. So I'll go ahead and duplicate the original chart here. Now with this second chart now, we need a measure that can be used to color code. So I'll go back to the model where you have the fact sales table and create a measure that will be used here. So I'll right click here and choose new measure. The name of the measure will be, let's say, growth rate, CF for conditional formatting. I'll just say equals, and in this case, I'll just check if the number is above 0 or not. So I'll just say if the year-on-year percentage change, the sales year-on-year percentage change is above 0, put a comma, and then put the word green in double quotes because it's text. Put a comma and say if, again, you have the sales growth rate being less than strictly below 0, then you can use the red color. Sorry, let me type it correctly. Otherwise, you can use black like that. Then you close the two if statements, press enter. So you have the measure in place. Now the next thing we need to do is to apply it. Just like before, we need to go to the formatting choices for this chart. Again, under columns, where you have color, you just click FX. And with FX clicked, now instead of using rules, we shall use field value. And in this case, we look for that measure we just created. It's called growth rate CF, and press OK. And you can see immediately you get the bars change color as you wish. You may want to update the color code that you're using for this chart. Maybe you're thinking the green color that you see here on screen is too much, or the red color is too conspicuous. Then we need to maybe not use the word green or red or black in our measure. We can update the measure where we have green color. Instead of green in double quotes, we can then use a hex code. You can look for one that is close to green. And in a similar manner, we can also change the red to be a different hex code. So if you do that and press OK, you will see the chart updates accordingly, and it's a lighter version of the green color. So it's a matter of choice, and you can play around with the hex codes until you find one that fits the bill. So if I update this green color to that one, you can see again now I think it's much better. Similarly, you can also do the same with the data labels and color code them either green or red, depending whether it's up or down. So in that case, we shall revert the original measure. So I'll just go and copy paste this measure that we've just done. But instead of the hex code, I think the color red and green would be much better. So we just do a new measure, but this one we shall not just call it CF, we shall call it font. You can use any other name, but here we are just saying instead of greater than 0 being that hex code, we simply type the word green as before, and this one should be red. The other one can be black, no problem. And now if I select this chart and go to the formatting pane, if I look for data labels, you under this option that says value, you have this FX again. You can change that color code by clicking that. Instead of rules, we can use field value and use that same measure that we have just created. So it's this one with the word font, and press OK. So you may want to change the font type or make it bold for it to be a bit prominent. So if I make it bold, you can then see the green color is appearing and the red color on the data labels on the chart. Sometimes the ask is not for you to highlight all the months which are positive or all the months which are negative with the same color. Probably you just want to draw attention to the month that had the most improvement or the least improvement. Or even if you are showing products, then you're showing the most improved product or the least improved product compared to the previous periods. So in that case, you need a different approach. And I invite you to watch this video here where I discuss how you can go about it in details. I'll see you in the next one.